This is examples of music from Module 17. Module 17 introduces us to SATB writing, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And here's the setting of a traditional Irish tune called Welcome Summer, written in the SATB format. We see the stems of the soprano and tenor lines go up, the stems of the alto and bass line go down. We'll notice that these stay within the acceptable vocal ranges of each of the voices, and they have adequate spacing staying within an octave of each of the adjacent voices. For the most part, they do not overlap or cross. However, there is what might be considered a slight error where the bass goes up to this B flat, which is crossed over where the tenor line was. The tenor line started on this A. So that would be considered an error if we were using strict SATB voice leading rules. Let's look at some of the doublings that we have here. The first chord is an FAC chord with the root doubled, which happens to be the bass, and that's the strongest way to double a chord. Little change here of a couple of the voices, but still FAC. FAC is the chord with F doubled. Here we have a B flat chord in first inversion, B flat, D, F, with the D in the bass, and in this case, the B flat, the root of the chord, is doubled. A C, E, G chord with the root doubled. All of these are acceptable doublings. I don't see any that are in second inversion. In second inversions, we always want to double the bass, which is the fifth of the chord. If I see one of those, I'll point it out. 17.7 and 17.8 talk about resolving Roman numeral 5 chords to Roman numeral 1 chords. And we have one of those happening right here. This is a G, B, D chord in C major going to a C, E, G chord. Let's listen to this. So we have a 1 chord, a 5 chord, and a 1 chord. This 5 chord and this 1 chord are both in root position, where the G skips downward to the C's down here. These octave leaps are done for emphasis in the left hand of this piano piece. For vocal music, or for what we'd call smooth voice leading, this would actually technically be an error because we'd have parallel octaves and then parallel octaves. But if we disregard the lower octave for a moment, we can look at the rest of this in terms of voice leading. So the G is going down to a C, and there is one tendency tone involved, which is the B natural. The B natural should resolve up by step to the C, in which it does. The root position of the 5 chord and the root position of the 1 chord give a very strong harmonic motion. Here we have another example. We're in the key of E flat major, and here we have a B flat D F chord going to an E flat G B flat chord, 5 chord to 1. Again, both in root position, B flat going down to E flat. This B flat goes up to E flat. D is the tendency tone, and it is the leading tone of the key, which resolves up by step. This B flat staying the same. This F is resolving to its closest member up by step. So very good voice leading here. To root position gives a very strong harmonic motion. Let's listen to this example. So this recording stops there for us. But you could hear that there was a bit of a pause or a rest in this area. It was the end of a moment. It was the end of a phrase. And we call that a cadence. 17.6 introduces us to 3 different types of cadences. This one happens to be an incomplete authentic cadence, or abbreviated as an IAC. Properties of an IAC are that we have a cadence that cadences from 5 to 1, which is what's happening here. We're in the key of C major. We have a G, B, D, F chord going to a C, E, G chord. And this one is in 6/5 inversion, or first inversion. The dominant chord is, that is. Let's listen to it again and notice the cadence that happens here. Now this is an imperfect authentic cadence because it goes from 5 to 1, but this is in an inversion. In order for it to be the other type of authentic cadence, the perfect authentic cadence, we would need for it to go from a 5 chord to a 1 chord. Both of these chords would have to be in root position, and this one does not satisfy that. And the upper voice must end on the tonic of the key, and that does happen here. In fact, we have this one in root position, this chord is in root position, we have the tonic of the key ending in the upper voice. But the only condition that's not met is that this one is in an inversion. The 5 chord is in an inverted form. Therefore, this whole thing would be an IAC, imperfect authentic cadence. For the other two type of cadences, let's look at this example. We're in the key of A flat major, and we have two cadences, one that happens at this point and one that happens at the end. In A flat major, E flat major is the dominant, and we have an E flat, G, B flat, D flat chord, which is a 5/7 chord, and this is where it cadences. That's called a half cadence. At the end, we have an E flat, G, B flat, D flat chord, a dominant chord that goes to an A flat, C, E flat chord, the 1 chord, a 5/7 to 1. It goes from root position 5/7 to root position 1, and the upper voice ends on the tonic of the key. Therefore, this satisfies all the conditions of a perfect authentic cadence, a PAC. Half cadence, perfect authentic cadence. Let's listen to it again. Half cadence. Perfect authentic cadence.